bunch of thugs all lined up. All I hear is jib jab going back and forth. And while I'm separating it, things are quiet, but then shot comes around my shoulder and cracks the main dude in the face.
I don't like gang stuff.
I am not gang gang. I do not gang gang.
I don't like gangs. I don't like conspiracy. I don't like the word Rico. Like none of that. So, you see the young boys say, you ain't got no bodies.
When did the relationship start to go south with 50?
You know, I was tolerating a lot of undesired energy. Right.
Y'all 50 Cent's Bodyguard is out here exposing what really went down with the Crips and why Fit has had beef with them ever since. We're talking bribes, coercion, and people trying to pull up on 50 forgetting that this man was about that life way before the fame for the Oggs. You already know his street name was Boo Boo, and trust me, they knew not to mess with him even back then.
With Boo Boo, I'm not even calling 50. 50 was a street that basically said the street shit, but was still involved in the street shit. And started rapping. You understand?
One thing about 50 Cent, he's always been crystal clear. He doesn't gangbang. He's said it a million times, and honestly, it checks out. See, when artists roll into certain hoods, they usually have to pay local gangs for security. It's like a street tax, but 50 Cent, he doesn't play that game. Because of that, he's had issues with some major street figures, people with real influence. And ever since one particular run-in, Spider Luck has been shook. So shook that when things got tense in G Unit, he dipped without even standing up for himself.
Made early residents. I am not gang. I do not gang bang.
I do not like Rico. I do not like conspiracy. Keep both of those brothers away from me.
These laws are designed to bring down the mafia.
When you think crime in general, right?
And then look, when they would run into it, they go, it's not the neighborhood stuff, this is the other stuff.
The amusing thing is that 50 Cent was never even connected to any gang. Sure, he grew up on the streets, but he always moved on his own terms, forming his own crew, clashing with much larger gangs, and staying focused on his business. But reality hit hard when authorities busted him at just 19, finding a stash of snow and a firearm in his place after he sold to an undercover agent. That's when 50 knew it was time to leave that life behind.
He was the type of dude, he was outside when he was 12 years old. You know, his mother and father, he didn't have too much knowledge of them. He had more knowledge of his mother,
However, Spider Lock was deep in the gang life, fully committed. He even tried to start a movement called G Unit Crips. Out of loyalty, 50 Cent and the rest of G Unit stood by him. They even let him bring 100 Crips on stage during performances. But that affiliation came with serious drama. One show, straight up canceled. Why? Because the crowd was packed with Bloods. Y'all see the problem, right?
Fuck really with, Spider Loc and the Crips in LA. Me, New York. So I don't really know LA politics.
Against my advice, he prompted the homies to take the stage with him, and he announced to the San Diego crowd something to the effect of, what's wrong with this picture? I'm a New York 100 Crips on stage.
It was getting dangerous out there, and not just at concerts. Spider Lock's music video sets were getting shot up, and rival gangs were pulling up, ready for war. 50 Cent knew this couldn't continue. The gang ties weren't just a problem, they were a threat to his entire business. So he had to make a tough call, cut Spider Lock loose before things spiraled out of control.
Going into a whole bunch of detail, I've told the story plenty of times, but him doing that triggered some irritation from the crowd. And one thing led to another, and there were items going back and forth from the crowd to the stage.
Additionally, as you all know, 50 Cent has never backed down from anyone, not even the big beasts like Suge Knight. Remember when Suge tried to press him while he was just getting started? 50 didn't flinch. In fact, he showed up to the In Duck Club video shoot, fully aware that Suge was out there trying to intimidate him. But backing down, that was never an option.
He came, it was like, Suge's outside! Suge's outside! Everybody like, he was running, dropping shit. Like, man, everybody going, I'm in front of the camera like this.
But let's be clear, Spider Lock isn't the only one who's had issues with 50 Cent over the years. Some of 50's biggest conflicts were with the most powerful and dangerous figures in the industry, and yet, he always found a way to come out on top. Let's rewind to March 24, 2000, the night 50 Cent was stabbed in the back outside the Hit Factory studio in New York. And we all know why. His infamous war with Ja Rule and Murder Incorporated was at its peak. But somehow, no matter how bad it got, 50 always wins.
Me and I'm beefing with 50 Cent. All I hear is say, well, if try to get me shot, or has something to do with getting me shot, or just did this and that.
It all started when one of 50 Cent's associates snatched Ja Rule's chain while he was out in Queens filming a music video. And just like that, chaos erupted. Next thing you know, Murder Incorporated bosses Irv Gotti and Chris Gotti were allegedly involved in roughing up 50. But by the end of the night, the charges dropped. 50 took 3 stitches from the attack, but if you know him, you know, he doesn't take losses lying down. Things escalated even further at Hit Factory when Black Child stabbed 50 Cent. His excuse? Self-defense. He claimed he thought someone had a gun.
He ran through the lobby, me and Ja chased him through the lobby, and then the elevator doors just like closed just in time, but that's a whole nother story, you know?
And yet, after all these years, 50 Cent is still undefeated. Even when Irv Gotti passed away recently, 50 stayed petty as ever. He wasted no time mocking him, posting a photo of himself smoking hookah next to a fake gravestone, caption, "I'm smoking on that." Then there's Bang M Smurf, one of 50's original day ones. They were tight before the fame, but once 50 blew up, things turned sour. By 2004, their brotherhood had completely collapsed into pure animosity. Gotti Pac, nah, God bless him.
The whole Smurf? Smurf, yeah. Yeah, look. That's my baby. You understand what I'm saying? Smurf is my baby.
It didn't take long for chaos to erupt. 50 Cent and G-Unit were in the middle of their performance when, guess what? The Silverback Gorilla Crew and Bang M Smurf squad, Domination, pulled up front row just to mock 50. But 50 wasn't about to let that slide. He and Lloyd Banks started disrespectfully tossing cash at Bang M Smurf, treating him like he was nothing. And when that wasn't enough, 50 took it a step further, drenching him with water, humiliating him even more.
White boys and shit, so I said, oh, that's how y'all giving it up. Y'all niggas ain't tossing me up in here, so I jumped back over the barricade and shit. So I started throwing chairs. I see dudes on the floor, we throwing dudes like, because then there was a mini ride running all.
Y'all Smurf lost it. He tried to jump over the barricade while his crew started hurling chairs at 50 and Goonit. Even DJ Woo Kid, who was spinning that night, said he didn't expect things to get that crazy, but this is 50 Cent's world, and stuff like this comes with the territory.
Like we was holding this down like he was a boss for real, man. Real, like sound like he was a boss. Open doors, pistols, all that. We was just.
Of course, one of the most explosive feuds in hip-hop history is 50 Cent's fallout with the Game. It all went down in February 2005 when 50 pulled up to Hot 97, ready to put an end to Game once and for all.
I think your relationship is repairable. I don't know what really caused it, basically. I don't try to patch relationships, friendship. When they fall apart, you have no idea, like.
50 Cent didn't hold back. In an explosive interview with Funkmaster Flex, he called out the Game for being disloyal, all because Game refused to take sides in 50's beefs. But while 50 was airing him out on live radio, Game and his crew were already outside Hot 97, waiting for smoke.
Walking down this long hallway, and I was like, fresh light, Impala, and then Dre was walking back in the studio, and he was like, hey, I was like, yeah. And he was like.
Then, gunshots rang out. Kevin Reed, one of Game's guys, got hit in the leg. At that moment, Game realized it wasn't worth it and backed off. But the damage was done, their beef never truly died. And then came another war minus 50 Cent versus Jimmy Henchman. It all kicked off in 2005 when 50 took shots at G-Unit during a live interview on Hot 97. And guess what? Jimmy Henchman, who was managing Game at the time, wasn't about to let that disrespect slide.
Yeah, no, you can't do an interview inside of Hot 97. Right. Because I think it was like that building was part of like some.
It was Viacom or some shit.
Well, no, it wasn't Viacom. It was like part of like some union or something. Workers union or something. And they were like, man, listen, we can't have this stuff.
Still to this day.
Yeah, to this day. You still.
Tensions erupted into chaos, arguments turned violent, and gunfire was allegedly exchanged. From that moment on, 50 Cent and Jimmy Henchman were locked in a war that neither was willing to back down from. By 2007, things took a dark turn when Henchman's 14-year-old son was jumped by members of G-Unit, including Tony Yayo, Lil Mac, and Baby If. And if you know Henchman, you know he wasn't about to let that slide. His retaliation was swift and brutal, making the situation even more dangerous. While 50 and On were filming their I'll Still Kill music video, Tony Yayo later claimed that henchmen and his crew pulled up fully armed, allegedly ready to wipe out 50 and his entire team.
Paperwork and henchmen and them supposed to come through, and I guess they gun jammed, but we had God on that side, and they backed out on the hit, but we had straps too, and that really was really...
After the attack on Jimmy Henchman's son, both Lomac and Tony Yayo were found guilty for their involvement. Lomac ended up serving time in prison, while Yayo got off with community service. But this is where things take a deadly turn, because just weeks after Lomac was released, he was gunned down in what many believe was a revenge hit orchestrated by Henchman himself. Then came the bombshell. In March 2015, Henchman was found guilty of ordering Lomac's murder, earning him a life sentence plus 20 years. But this story was far from over. In a shocking twist, his conviction was overturned in November 2016, leaving this entire saga just as chaotic, unpredictable, and deadly as ever.
Listen, at the end of the day, when the kid got slapped, right? It's old fan war. You already know what's gonna go.
Yeah.
You know, for anybody that got kids, I understand how the felt.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my shit got shot up.
But that's not all, because Jimmy Henchman's name is tied to one of the most infamous events in hip-hop history, the 1994 shooting of Tupac Shakur at Manhattan's Quad Studios. And guess whose name keeps resurfacing in connection to that non-fatal ambush, the very incident many believe ignited the East Coast versus West Coast War, a rivalry that eventually led to the tragic murders of both Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls? Jimmy Henchman.
And an associate of Jimmy point blank told me in a conversation that they had him in jail.
In a shocking revelation, Tupac Shakur was shot and robbed that night by Dexter Isaac, who is currently serving a life sentence on unrelated charges. It was long suspected that he was paid to carry out the hit. But here's what makes 50 Cent's name legendary. He survived it all and still managed to stay on top. After hearing everything, do you still think Jimmy Henchman was only worth $2,500? And what about Spider Lock? Was he really afraid of 50 Cent? Or was this just business gone bad? Maybe that's why so many people go silent when his name comes up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a thing.